There is a mention of this hanging thing in my poem. This right here. Many of you may not pick it up because it's in the space. And also the stairs, I don't know whether you noticed the stairs. The stairs actually intrigue me more than the installations, even though there are some very powerful installations here, but I sort of did something with the stairs. The Jabbok is the title of this poem, and there's a little note to explain what the Jabbok is. It's a stream that flows into the river Jordan from the east. Genesis recounts the struggle between Jacob and a stranger on its banks, a liminal space marking the threshold of the promised land. I'll just say one more thing, that this is Transitional Spaces, and we could have a terrific philosophical discussion about it, and perhaps you would have us back. There are many people in this group who are very philosophical, and it would be really productive to open it up and get the community in and talk about liminal and transitional spaces, the in-between. That is where we are. The Jabbok. Manuel, my man, paler than old Ramon, let me confess there is something in me that doesn't love the order of the heartbeat. One little blip in the works and kaput. The gift of an eternity shaped in the smithy of the stars is mere ash scattered on the sea. Ah, cursed cage of order, little do you know the rusting agents are moles gnawing at the solder joints and will surely break your chokehold on the spirit of flight. So much would indeed depend upon the green pear, shellacked or not, if it didn't come with strings attached and just floated in space, defying the pull of earth. But alas, the fruit falls, and falling rises, a Hiroshima wave, deadly crest of water lace curling over cowering men, only to fall back again, and again the same. There's nothing much to do, you say, but go up and down the stairs, zigzagging, the way up, the way down, crystal or grime, one way or another, identical. And in the dark plot, beneath the rustle of angel wings, there is a mighty wrestling through the night, which will end, we know, with a hip bone broken out of joint, a man branded forever as the one who strove with God and laid claim to a toehold at best on forever shifting ground.
The title of my poem is called Enormous Eye, and I was inspired to write about this piece because I thought it took a lot of courage for the artist to even want to do a piece like that. Because in many ways for me it's still hurtful and disturbing, and you know. So here goes. Matthew's tear. Let me start over. Matthew's tears stare back at us, covered in a garment pretty enough to mend a dress. Ornaments dangle off the lashes of this crying art. Disguising history's wrong, anger was right for finding it. Removed hood hangs separate from the eyes on the wall. Unable to see America's face, left my ancestors' life, not able to breathe.
To write about that pair is that it set the tone for me for a very contemplative exhibition. I felt the presence of a contemplative in these rooms, so it's just a very short poem. The pair suspended in air on fine wire is still, sounding its shadow on a white wall, the way I listen for my shadow in silent prayer.
Rolf Moore, and the poem I'm reading, Everyone's Story from No Place, was suggested by the piece over there in the corner, WTY News, and I was just sort of struck by the anonymity of it, that it's just, everybody's familiar with TV news everywhere in the country, and it all kind of looks like that. The faces are different, but there's a sort of uniformity in the presentation. So I was just struck by the generic quality of it, at the same time imparting a sense of authority in all our lives. Everyone's Story from No Place. What price Chuck Todd's White House soup of the day when 18 million children starve nationwide? From what fuel pool does a leggy announcer draw the shallow warmth to render a breached reactor's contents as so much radioactive stuff? Whom to keep us information rather than informed, habituated to leaning forward, forever in this point in time, their internalization of a faux dimension, unsparked by causality or context, gives pause to the claim of being anchors for anything. Cooking shows might evoke aunts' kitchens, talk shows, fathers' dens. It has seductive no places with stage, lights, actors, even scripts. Newsrooms can't glow with the earnestness of even the crudest showboat play. Yet only they presume the authority to tell us what everyone's story should be. While their digital hearts tirelessly cure cant into canon, wresting reality from well-coiffed fools might be done on our timetable, because the stronger their prestigious safety, the longer they can prop up illusions of our own. Thank you.
My name is Cora Santaguida, and I actually came here to look at the art with Rolf. And I walked in, and the pear was the first thing I noticed. And I kind of looked at it, and I was like, no. So then I went to another piece, and I originally wrote about that. And then I brought it home with me, and I was just thinking and thinking and thinking, and my mind kept going back to the pear. So I wrote about the pear. And here I am. This is called Forbidden Fruit. Standing halfway between beauty and mire, blemish-free skin holding chaos, casting shadows based on time and circumstance, swaying by breath and touch, teetering from sweet to unpalatable, guilt, shame, death with a thin line to heaven.
The piece I wrote about is called Sagittarius, and it's down there. You can't see it. But wrapped in my lover's arms, reality becomes an illusion. Floating in space, there is no beginning to one of us, nor ending to the other. We are suspended in time.
This one is in reference to one downstairs, Mr. Buckingham's one on the...
Who are you, by the way?
Who am I?
Richard?
Should I know? You know. You can go ahead. You tell. You say. You say, because you do know. All right. I'm Richard Duffy. Anyway, it's Buckingham's thing on the Paha Safa, the 6 grandfathers, and so on. It's interesting. But, if you count up the number of years that the U.S. actually tried to keep its treaties, right, it's a total of 11 years. And all the rest of the time they broke their treaties, right? At least with, with the Indians in the area of what's now Mount Rushmore. And so the Native American Indian movement had a lot of reason to focus on that, along with, of course, Little Bighorn and so on. But this is called The Puppetry of the Young at Heart. I've changed the first subtitle from what you have there to the perpetual recreation of their youthfulness. Okay? Which I thought was a little clearer. So this is 3 sonnets. First one. At noon, the nursery school swung out its doors. Chris and I marauded to his hillside home. Cowboys and Indians, big as our thumbs, rode plastic horses on the wooden floor, but did not seem content with anything. They're spoiling for a fight, that's what we thought. We picked them up so they could stoop like hawks in midair with our pudgy fists for wings. In those days, helicopters weren't routine. No one even dreamt unpiloted drones. Mid-air clashes garnered credit from our tones, the grunts and growls that filled our bloodless scene, the rares and rah-rah-rahs we used, while we could choose who'd win and who would lose. 2, their hostilities. We never saw a cowboy make so bold to fight alone to satisfy just hubris. Someone in a plastic factory's office decided his will by authorizing molds. That manager chose molds with practiced guile to make his market caterwaul and plead, to make our parents pay, to silence greed, and wash their hands of us, to free them a while we prepared for wars their tax financed, to work to pay that tax, plus interest and rent. Indians fought to avoid being sent to camps to learn the tenant's circumstance. Aiming his gun, the cowboy with straight face could say, Indians just don't know their place. 3, their convenience. CNN makes Congress hard to ignore. They talk Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Libya, Syria, Oman. Before it was Panama, El Salvador, Grenada, Nicaragua, Vietnam. Their talk deletes as much. Indonesia, Angola, Chile, Congo, Colombia, Bolivia, Timor. Soft targets for bombs. But whatever they say, I watch their hands and see in them so conveniently mute cheap models that might wave or else salute. Pale plastic cowboys, brown plastic Indians. How the young at heart reap such great delight, destroying others' lives until they fight.
My name is Catherine Edney, and I wrote about, I was inspired by the piece downstairs also, Matthew Buckingham's The Six Grandfathers. And while I was contemplating that piece, I had done some volunteer work many years ago when I got out of college on an Indian reservation in Omak, Washington. And I kept hearing and seeing the faces of these girls that I worked with while I was there when I was contemplating that piece downstairs. So I pulled out poems, about 6 of them, to kind of align with the Six Grandfathers. 6 girls, Pascal Sherman Indian School, Omak, Washington, 1978. Brenda George, Panther woman with dark-skinned glare, behind hair curtains. Even as a girl, she carried ominous forces in her pelvis. Frightened lighter children with her thunder stare, and just the smallest suggestion of a fist. Slur for sure, but she reached nobility for me, just by virtue of her savagery. Janice Dick, endangered prairie chicken, tell me, Flawless biscuit, playful Eskimo, why? Your face, a sunflower puzzle. Deep brown spirals in your eyes. You were smaller than the rest, eclipsed by your big sister. How vulnerable. So shocked at your attempted suicide with vitamins in 7th grade, I'm frozen at the door. Rosie Pion, plagued with a variety of syndromes, acne, FAS, poor personal hygiene, nearsightedness, bad teeth, and then she got bitten by a spider. See what that venom can do to tender belly skin. She was also blessed with the caring of her younger sister, who changed her dressings till it healed. Ruby Pion. Was it indigenous or inner wisdom that allowed you to bend gracefully to any task before you? 14, you seem much older, like a sunset without guile, like a rose without rebellion. Reservation is your country. Ruby of the Colville holds a jewel of granted wishes in her quiet hand. Mickey Allen. Dragonfly admires her trim beauty. Blackbird loves her feathered hair and sand her skin. Coyote learns a lesson from this sly trickster, expert at enjoyments and cannily self-confident for an 8th grader. Didn't want a baby, so took charge of contraception. And why not? Too much fun awaiting, too soon old. Lily Slim John. In my joy, I greeted you like first snow, dancing in your nightgown. In my doubt, I lost touch with you too early. In my wish, I find you, visiting Yakima or maybe Walla Walla. In my myth, you are a tribal elder, elevated with a crown of apple blossoms.
My inspiration is probably different than most. Originally, I thought about the pair, and then I realized, no, half the people at least are going to write about it. And so far, that hasn't turned out, but a couple have. I have a history with this house, this whole building, and I was probably in it before anybody here was, because one of my best friends, when this was residential, lived on the one on the end, and it's a very old building, by the way. And so my inspiration actually is the whole building, and certainly the Gibsons, my friend, and several of the other people that lived here. But thinking about that, it recalled a dream I had from just about 3 years ago, and the person that was in the video was very vivid. And this girl was, I'd known her from childhood. She was not ever in this house as far as I know, but she's connected in my memory very strongly with this house in odd ways. Right here. How is it you're here in dreams? Just because I was thinking of your birthday on August 12th. But I haven't seen you in 43 years. Don't recall you at any of the reunions. Yet here you are, Barb, my old, bright-haired heartthrob. We're adults now. You seem about 40, dressed very chic. Still just as tall as me. How unlikely is that? Here at this place, it seems sort of like an outdoor bazaar or cafe. You have a 9-year-old niece, and she keeps wandering off. I'm with several annoying friends, but don't know who they are. I just transpose those, sir. I want to ask if you got married and have children, but somehow the words never come out. Tell you there was a rumor your brother Chrissy had died. Will look from you like I'm nuts, and say he's living in Arizona with his wife and a few kids. You remember I'd worked at a florist and wanted advice on buying a bouquet. We walked to the end of the stalls where there's a little shop. It is the season for irises, and I suggested them. We arrange a beautiful bunch with complementing flowers and greens. You're quite elated and give me an affectionate, lingering hug. The first one since the night I won the championship challenge tournament, 49 long years past. Now what weird metamorphosis is happening? During this time at the flower stand, you're steadily losing height, or else I'm growing taller. Are you Alice in Wonderland? As you gather up the flowers, you're at least 4 inches shorter than me. What's going on here? Is this a candid camera bit? Oh no, one died years ago. You look mighty fine, Barb. Fresh and sparkling as the iris bouquet. A warm, cheery goodbye, then you walk away. Though your niece is nowhere in sight. The proud, upright stance is still there. That has not changed. I watch as you grow smaller in the distance, with sunlight glistening on bright, auburn hair.
And I am going to also read the introduction to my book. Outsider Art, Plastic Pear Ubo. It's a very good gallery with street works. But I am craving for a ripe golden pear, which reminds me of German modernist Theodor Fontane. In one of his poems, he pays tribute to a pear tree, the owner's noble family, in the village that carries their name. The Pears of Rebecca. I ran into John Miller's plastic pear ubo floating on a monofilament. I got hooked. Emotions touched me deeply. All came back from long ago. A tree in a garden with autumn's golden pears. Reading Theodor Fontane's poem, Mr. von Riebeck at Riebeck in Haveland. Children still have to learn and recite it at school. Then, an interval of blurred nothing. Or was it ashes? 1989, Berlin's wall fell. Freedom. Freedom. Reunited, rebuilt, replanted pear trees.
My name is Eleni Begetis Anastos, and I wrote for this painting there. When I first saw it, it just reminded me of, actually reminded me of the gay people. That they are children without gender, staying the flamboyant colors that they like, and they are just creating their own world with the closed eyes. So that's what I wrote. Children of the rainbow. 3 people assembled on the green grass, neath the parabola where the rainbow bursts and dies. Children of the earth without gender, hands and bodies intertwined, gazing into space with closed eyes. Grasping the rainbow's flamboyant colors, seeing with the eyes of the soul, feeling each other's essence, creating masterpieces.
Hello, everyone. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming today. This is such a great space. I love this gallery. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Bill Bushell. I'm the chair of the PoemAlley Advisory Board. And again, I want to thank you all for coming. And I also want to thank the poets. Let's give them a big... Most importantly, I want to thank Terry and Sandrine for putting this all together. And again, as Ralph mentioned before, I want to thank Ralph for bringing to the board the attention of the fact that Franklin Street Works was here and making the initial contacts and getting us involved. If it wasn't for Ralph and Terry, this never would have happened tonight. When I came to the opening of these transitional spaces, long before this evening was conceived, I was drawn to Matthew Buckingham's 6 grandfathers, Pahasapa, in the year 502-002. I love the Black Hills, and the piece moved me. So when it was decided that we were going to build our evening around these pieces of art, I felt certain that I was going to be writing about that piece. But every time I sat down to write, my eye was drawn to R. Rosenberg's Astrological Waves, Sagittarius 2010, which is right behind this one. I soon realized that it was going to be my inspiration for this evening, and I also realized I'd already written the poem. This is my poem, Winter's White Heart. Out the window, an icy white sheet of snow blankets the yard. The room fills with the day's late light, and age-etched sadness creases all it falls on. Dust dances, the weight's dark canvas fades, nothing hidden in the cold light stretching through the house. Bed sheets, fingers touch, tongue, breath, lips, breast, thigh, hot, wet, soft, rough, smooth, dry, the sweet, the bitter, touching, soft, wanting, entering, deep, hot, wet. The hot, white, the white hot center, the white hot center of you, the hot, white center of you, the white hot heart of you. The white heart, the white. Cold white sheets layer the bed. You will never know.